It's finally Friday. It's Friday, Friday.
Thank God it's
All right, welcome back to the Friday Show, presented by the Match Series. I'm Scott Jagow, along with Ray Paulick, who's still at Del Mar, even though the meet has ended. Ray, we have a little surprise in store coming up. But first, let's talk about historical horse racing. There's a lot going on around this. Illinois is trying to get it. Kentucky is moving forward with it and expanding it. Churchill Downs is opening a new facility this month that will have historical horse racing machines. It's done very well at Kentucky Downs. I mean, this meet that they're having now is 5 days, and it's 10 million in purses. Per day average, that's the most in the world outside of Japan. In the world. So it's been a good friend of racing. How do you see it? As a positive? Is it a potential negative? What do you think?
Well, there's a limited number of markets where historical racing can help. This all started at Oaklawn Park when they were feeling the pressure of not only racetracks in surrounding states, but casinos in Mississippi. They created what they called instant racing machines, which were based on historical races. It really brought a lot of revenue for the Oaklawn meeting, and it also showed state legislators that gambling machines were not the boogeyman they all thought they were going to be. So they now have historical racing, but they have other electronic games of skill at Oaklawn Park too, and their purse program is phenomenal. So there are states that have slot machines already. It's not going to help there. There are markets that are saturated with casinos. I'm not sure how much it's going to help there. But there are certain areas where historical racing can help. I'm not sure Illinois is one of them because they're one of the markets that have casinos everywhere. But Kentucky is a market where I think it can help. Virginia, which is putting in historical racing machines, I think it'll help there. And California would benefit greatly from them if they could get approval.
Well, I think the positive part of this is that it was an initiative within the industry to solve a revenue problem by doing something on their own, as opposed to leaning on slot machines, which you got to get approval from a legislature for sure. And some states have gone through the legislature to get historical horse racing. Some have not. In Texas, it didn't actually work. They tried to go around the legislature. It didn't work. Illinois is trying to go around the legislature. But they're trying to make the case that this is parimutuel wagering because it's a historical horse race there on the screen, even though they do look a lot like slot machines, and there are people who argue that they are slot machines, and there are court cases about this. So it's not all said and done. I mean, there's still a road to go, legally anyway, as to whether or not this is all on the up and up. But so far, so good. Now comes sports wagering into the picture. So it's going to be interesting to see how that comes together with this. Is it the same kind of thing? Is it, again, the racing industry leaning on something outside of itself to support the racing product? You look at what Keep is saying in Kentucky. They're supporting sports betting, but they're also saying we need these criteria. It's got to be available at racetracks. We want the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission to regulate it, and a portion of the revenue to go toward the horse industry from sports betting.
Yeah, I'm not sure I buy the argument on the last point. To me, it's apples and oranges. Why should, other than the fact that there's already gambling going on at the racetracks, why should the horse industry get money out of sports wagering? I think it would be great if they did, but I'm just saying I think that's a really tough sell with state legislatures. And you'd mentioned that the historical racing was a sort of a it came out of the horse industry. How can we use our product to create something that will have a revenue stream? And to me that's a great solution in certain areas. Sports betting, it can help the horse industry, but I don't think horse racing should go at this from the standpoint of where's our split. It should be, how can we grow? How can we be partners with sports betting, and both of us grow?
I completely agree with that. Don't put your hand out and say, here, we deserve this somehow. I get that totally. I would not take that approach. But I would also argue that, you've got these machines at racetracks now, and they're pretty far afield from what's going on the racetrack. Even though it says horse racing on the machine, it really is a lot farther than sports betting is. So, from the customer standpoint, I believe there's a lot of potential there, even with FanDuel and TVG, because throughout the year, there are days when the sports landscape is pretty bland. There aren't, not NFL Sundays, but a lot of other days during the year. And if you have horse racing sitting there side by side as an available betting option to someone who wants to make a bet, I see a lot of potential in that. And that's where I think it's a really good match.
Yeah, I think the future of sports betting, it has to be approved in each state. But I think the future is not really going to a facility. I think it's betting on your phone, betting on your computer. And that's why the FanDuel, TVG, Betfair merger was such a big deal, because millions of people will be wagering on sports because of FanDuel. And if you can introduce those people to horse racing, it's a similar game. It's a game where you analyze statistics, and you're trying to outsmart everybody else, and that's why I feel like the two can kind of feed off each other a little bit. If we can marry with sports betting in a way that benefits the industry, not necessarily through a revenue stream, but just through getting people to come out to the racetrack, that might work. A new state that's offering wagering is West Virginia. You can go to Charlestown now and make a sports bet. We'll see if that affects handle positively or negatively.
What do you think about this? Going forward, what will be the better friend to racing? Will it be historical horse racing machines, or will it be sports betting? Let us know with the poll on our website at paulickreport.com. All right, Ray, I promised a little surprise. Maybe you should walk us through this. You lost the competition with Todd Schrupp at TVG, the handicapping competition during the Del Mar meet, and your prize was getting to sing at Del Mar.
Yeah, the Del Mar invited me to participate in this contest, and they said the winner gets to donate $1,000 to the charity of their choice. The loser has to do the Bing Crosby song on closing weekend. And Todd Schrupp, I have to say, he out-handicapped me from start to finish, left me in the dust. But the good news is I got to sing in front of a standing room only crowd at Del Mar. They were standing because they were running for the exits as I started to sing.
Yeah. All right. We'll take us out with that. That's going to do it for this edition of the Friday Show, presented by the Match Series, which resumes next week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take a plane, take a train, take a car. There's a smile on every face, and a winner in each race, where the turf meets the surf at Del Mar.